Alright, welcome to Fortnite Bug. This is Disturbing Videos, Nexpo. I know you've heard of them, but enjoy.
Bodom in Finland. While their trip began just fine, all of them would wind up dead. Except for one. Grab a snack and kick back, because tonight, in story time. Welcome back, my friends, to Late Nights with Nexpo. You awake from a shallow sleep. For a moment, you think it's morning already. But then you remember, it's still night.
I love his style of editing and everything about it. I think it's cool. I think you guys are going to like it too. Sorry about the pauses. I don't want to get copyright strikes.
During the summer in Finland, midnight is indistinguishable from dawn. From where you lay inside your tent, the night sounds perfectly peaceful. Crickets chirp softly outside. Not far away, the lake's gentle waves lap rhythmically against the shore. It's idyllic. And yet, you can't shake the sense that something is wrong. Something imminent. Then you hear it. A crunch of foliage outside the tent.
Susie.
Then a quick twang.
Susie.
The sound of a rope snapping. Someone is cutting the cords that hold up your tent. You try to escape. But the tent is already collapsed down
Susie.
around you.
Did I give you copyright? If I did, I'm sorry.
Susie. Yeah, I think so.
Did I give you copyright? If I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them yesterday. Somebody is attacking my channel again. I think. I don't know. I might be wrong.
June 4th, 1960. A pair of motorcycles drive through the countryside of southern Finland.
Have you ever heard of Nexpo, Sus? Question mark.
Susie. I think the bot is broken again.
No, I can hear
Susie.
it.
I think the bot is broken again.
You can't hear it? It's working.
Carrying 4 teenagers and their camping gear. On one motorcycle sits Seppo Boisman and his girlfriend Anya Tuliki Maki. The other is driven by Niels Gustafsson, with his girlfriend Mila Bjorklund in the back. Mila's 16th birthday is coming up, so it's the perfect excuse for the
Susie,
friends to escape the city
I was
for a
only
weekend
trying to
camping
help.
trip.
No,
Susie.
And
I'm
so
not-
I was only trying
their
to help.
destination,
I'm not
Lake
tripping.
Bodom, comes
Alright.
into view. It's about 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide, surrounded by pine and birch trees that make it feel quite remote, in spite of its relatively close proximity to the city of Espoo.
Okay, can you hear me?
Susie. It says it 2 times.
Have you heard of
It says it
Nexpo?
2 times.
At an intersection near the lake, they stop at a roadside stand. The mature woman working the kiosk is less than pleasant to them. She seems wary of their group, and when asked, she suggests that they camp far away. Confused but undeterred, the group buys some soda and beer, then heads off to find a campsite, as planned. As they pull away, Mila shoots a glance back at the stand. The woman is watching them go. Mila finds herself wondering whether it's safe to camp here. She's already noticed that there are not many tents set up along the lakeshore. There are plenty of hikers and swimmers, and the occasional boat out on the lake. It seems odd that there aren't more overnight campers on the weekend. As they scoured the lakeshore for a campsite, Mila, Nils, Seppo, and Anya encounter a handful of day trippers.
Susie.
People there
The bot
for a
says
hike.
my messages 2 times. Do you hear it 2 times? Susie. The bot says my message is 2 times. Do you hear it 2 times?
Yes, I do.
But they make
You're not
sure
typing
to
it
find a
in
nice secluded
twice?
space
Yes,
to
I
set
do.
up.
You're not
It's
typing
not
it in
long before they
twice?
find the perfect spot. A small outcropping on the south shore. They're right by the water, but screened from public view by the trees. They lean their 2 motorcycles against nearby trees and pitch a small tent that's just big enough to fit them all inside. Mila keeps thinking back to the woman who sold them their drinks, the look she gave to the 4 of them, her cryptic warning. Mila hopes that they won't get in trouble for staying here. Since this is her birthday celebration, she'd feel awful if something happened. But her concern starts to evaporate as everyone settles in by the lake. It's been an especially hot summer,
Susie.
so the cool
You are
breeze
looking
over
at
the
chat.
water is just what
Susie.
they needed.
You are looking at
The
chat.
boys crack open their beers.
How do you know that?
Anya stops complaining
Susie.
about how annoying
How
her
can it
dad
be me
was
doing that?
about letting her go on this
Susie.
trip.
How can it be
And
me
finally,
doing that?
Mila relaxes as well. The day comes to an end, but the sun doesn't set. They may be in southern Finland, but they're still close enough to the Arctic Circle that the sun never fully sets in the summer. It dips low until it's barely touching the horizon and stays there. And as night falls, the sky dims to a sort of warm twilight, a phenomenon known as a midnight sun. All in all, it gives everything a beautiful, eerie look. By 2 a.m., both of the boys are drunk, and Anya is sleeping. It gives Mila enough privacy to make a quick entry in her diary, made possible by the light of the midnight sun. She writes that the boys are still awake, that Seppo is out fishing. She doesn't write for long, and soon she's putting away her diary to try to get some sleep. That entry would be her final words.
Susie. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and
Susie.
subscribe.
Hey man,
Make
my
sure
bad.
to like and subscribe.
Hey, that's
It's an ad. Sorry, guys.
No way, this stranger is just.
It's an ad. Sorry, guys.
9
There we go.
hours later,
Back to the video.
by the
There we
shores
go.
of Lake Bodom,
Back to
the
the
midnight
video.
sun has brightened to a warm summer's day once again.
Hey, anybody else in the chat? Try to talk. Try to type something in the chat to keep my keep my video from getting copyright striked. As long as we're making.
If
See?
it's making you mad when the bot says it 2 times, just mute it or ignore it.
No, it's not making me mad. I don't care.
If it's making you mad when the bot says it 2 times, just mute it or ignore it.
It's not making me mad. Chill, bro. It's not making me mad.
Esko Johansson arrives with his 2 sons. They take in the stunning scene before them. If today's going to be anything like yesterday, it'll be perfect weather for swimming. They make a brisk walk towards the lakeshore, eager to plunge into the refreshing water. Yet, on their way, an unusual sight stops them. From a distance, it looks like a pile of trash. Suddenly, Esko seems tense.
So, does anybody else have any thoughts on Nexpo? Have you ever heard of Nexpo, Sus? Question mark.
Uneasy.
Let me know. Have you? Hello, is this thing working?
He stops both his sons from walking any farther and tells them to stay where they are. He's going to go investigate and make sure everything's alright. He
Susie.
approaches and sees that
Nice
the pile
video
of
you got
trash
there.
is actually a tent.
Susie.
It's
Nice
collapsed
video
in on
you got
itself,
there.
and there are dark stains.
What did you say? Nice video. You like this video? Are you being sarcastic? Are you for real? Do you really like it?
All over the shredded cloth.
Susie. If anybody is watching, make sure to like and subscribe, support the stream. Susie. If anybody is watching, make sure to like and subscribe, support the stream.
Babe, I'm streaming and recording here. Cause she's just wandering around doing shit in the background.
Susie, I hear you, I'm just in 20 minds. Susie, I hear you, I'm just in 20 minds.
Just take her back upstairs, I'm going upstairs.
Okay.
Okay? I didn't. Just tell me right off upstairs. Tell me everything. What is this? I think, dude. What is this? That's for,
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It looks like blood.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
His fears are confirmed. There's a bruised and mutilated boy lying on top of the tent, and the body of a young girl partially concealed by the torn fabric. Immediately, Esko runs to the nearest phone and calls 112, Finland's emergency services number. And within an hour, the police are swarming the scene.
Next time say something.
The body that had first drawn Esko's attention
doing?
is that of Nils.
Susie,
He's barefoot
what was
and
Story
covered
doing?
in blood.
Story?
His face and skull show
He's
signs
downstairs
of
playing.
intense
Why?
force trauma, and the tent beneath him is slashed to ribbons. The other body spilling out of the tent belongs to Milo, and the state of her body is
Story!
even more horrifying.
My stream wants to say hi. Come here.
And she's covered with deep stab wounds.
Hold on, chat. Come here, Story Dawn. Sus is wanting to say hi.
Susie. Too bad we
No,
don't see each other
Sus!
that often. Susie.
Here,
Too
say
bad
hi.
we don't see each other that often.
Look at the camera.
Hi.
There she is. She went to the lake today.
Okay, what video are you making?
Here, tell them what you did today.
Susie.
I went to the
Was that
lake
her doing that?
and
Susie.
well, it wasn't a lake.
Was that her doing that?
You
Somewhere.
don't see. Look right here.
It was somewhere where it flooded before and it flooded like crazy. But it was fun.
She's been stripped from the
You wanna watch the video with us? You wanna react to
Hold
it?
on. My friend barely played
Hold
with
on,
me
hold on,
because
let me
the water
pause
this.
was too cold
Sorry.
for her.
Hold on, let me pause.
I was mostly in the water, but my friend wasn't because it was cold
Look,
to
there you
her,
are.
but not to me.
Look at the camera,
She
sweetie.
was mostly tanning.
Alright, you done?
It's true. Kensley was tanning.
She was. That sounds boring, don't it?
Yeah.
Alright, let's play. Let's watch the
I'll be
video.
back. I'm gonna go and get
Susie.
my water. Okay.
Both
I was
Seppo
wondering
and Monique
because someone was
with
walking
similar
around.
wounds all over their bodies.
Susie.
Though
I was wondering
none as
because
extreme
someone
as
was walking
Milo's.
around.
Each of the teenagers have been stabbed and bludgeoned. They all have broken jaws and severely fractured skulls. While searching the tent, the police make a shocking discovery. Nils is still alive. The 18-year-old boy stirs,
You wanna say hi, Mama?
moaning in pain.
Come here.
Blood bubbles up from his mouth. He can't.
Anybody wanna say hi to Tiff, my wife? Let me know. Let me know. Going once, going twice. You wanna say hi, Mama?
do anything besides moan. His severely broken jaw prevents him from speaking,
wanna say hi
and
to Tiff, my
immediately
wife?
an ambulance whisks him
Let me
off
know.
to the nearest hospital.
Let me know.
By this point, bystanders are already starting to crowd around the crime scene, morbidly curious about what all the commotion is about. As the number of bystanders grows, it becomes clear that the police have neglected to set up a perimeter.
Come on.
The crime scene
Propel.
becomes an absolute mess, with countless pieces of forensic evidence
Careful, my
trampled or
laptop's already
lost.
broke.
Amidst the commotion,
Can I sit?
what police are able
I'm
to
going
piece
to make a
together
post on
is
my
this.
channel to tell them to sub to
There's
you
no
and check out your
obvious murder
channel.
weapon,
Susie.
though the tent has been
I'm
slashed.
going to make a post on my channel to tell them to sub to you and check out your channel. Susie. I have 345 subs after also. Susie.
Hell yeah, thank
I have
you.
345 subs after also.
I appreciate it.
I might as well help you out.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I might as well help you out.
Yeah, what comes around goes around. So, yeah, that's a good way to build up some, good juju. Thank you, I appreciate you.
As if by some
He's
sort
gonna
of
give me
way,
his sub, or he's gonna share his
it
subs with
seems the
me.
attacker struck at them from outside the tent, and the teenagers fought
Subscribers?
to escape before succumbing to their injuries. Out of everyone, Nils was the only one who managed to get out. The tent itself seems to have been roughly ransacked, its contents scattered around the woods. A few key items are missing, including wallets and watches belonging to the boys, the shoes that Nils had been wearing, and the motorcycle keys. However, even so, the motorcycles have not been stolen, as both are still parked near the campsite.
I'm thinking that the lady from the beginning, I think it was her husband that killed them kids.
Mila still has her diary on her, but it doesn't provide any substantial clues. It seems she was too busy relaxing by the lake to note if anything was amiss. The only thing of note is that she was still awake at 2 a.m. and that both boys were drunk, though it's unsurprising for a pair of teenagers on a weekend getaway. The police also find the shoes that belonged to Nils about a kilometer from camp. They're half buried in the undergrowth and covered in blood. A couple of bird watchers come forward to police with the description of a potential suspect, a tall, blonde man with a square jaw. They claim that they saw him near the campsite in the early hours of the morning. This is corroborated by a 14-year-old boy who was fishing around 6 a.m. and claims to have seen a blonde man standing beside the shedded tent from afar. Neither the fishermen or the bird watchers, however, were close enough to see the bodies. Locals continue to come forward with their own theories, their own suspects, and soon the police are overwhelmed. What they really need is for Nils, the sole survivor, to help make sense of—
Yes, thanks for watching the video, and,
Susie. So what's the problem with you not streaming every day? You can just watch videos.
all
Susie.
of—
yeah,
So what's the problem with you not streaming every day? You can just watch videos.
I guess it's just,
Susie. And
just
play different games.
yeah, it's just a matter of
Susie.
me getting
And play
Fortnite.
different games.
It's the Fortnite addiction that I have. I have to break away from it. That's weird. It makes it to where I'm like, PTSD from the PC.
And stop playing effing Fortnite, bro.
Yeah, I know.
And stop playing effing Fortnite, bro.
this information. He's recovering from his injuries, unable to talk to anyone. But the police are certain that once they have his account of what took place that night, the story will fall into place. But there's only one problem. As he lies in his hospital bed, Nils can't remember a thing.
Grammarly is an AI writing partner that works seamlessly with your everyday
Sorry
life to help professionals
about
write better
that.
and faster so they can get all of their work done or do
There we go.
Later on, when Nils is finally able, he gives a short statement to the police. He remembers little to nothing of the day before. His only memory of the attack is that of a dark shape which he glimpsed through the holes in their tent. Any other crucial details have been lost in the head trauma he suffered.
Susie.
The police,
I'm going to give you
drowning
Mr.
in
Belt if
clues,
you play
offered—
that game again. Susie. I'm going to give you Mr. Belt if you play that game again.
Yeah, I know. I would deserve it. Screw that game. I love that game, to be honest, but it is not good for me. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
offered up by locals, want to see if they can jog his memory. After he's discharged from the hospital, they pay him another visit, and with his consent, they hypnotize Nils and ask him again, who killed your friends? What did you see? In his interview, the results are more concrete. Nils describes the attack, fighting to get free of the tent as the intruder batters away from the outside. He says he got free of the canvas, only for the mysterious man to kick him in the jaw, breaking it and knocking him unconscious. Afterwards, he was left for dead. Nils describes the attacker as a man around 20 to 30 years old, about 5'8", with blonde hair combed back and a strong chin. This is promising news. His description seems to match up with the figure multiple eyewitnesses placed near the scene. The police hypnotized the 14-year-old who claimed to have seen the blonde man, and again, ask for a description. He says
Susie,
the same thing.
How was your day with
blonde
AS?
Man with a square.
Susie, how was your day with AS?
With AS, what's that?
With AS, what's that?
With AS, what do you mean?
With AS, what do you mean?
I've been trying to get both my car and my mopeds broke down. I've been really, that's why I'm like, look at my hands. I've been trying to my best to fix it. It's a wiring issue for the car and the moped, everything else. I don't freaking know.
Jaw. Using the descriptions given by Nils and the eyewitness, the police are able to create a rough composite sketch of the man they're looking for. The 3 deceased teens are buried the following week. The event is photographed by the press, and when these photos are developed afterwards, they reveal something that no one noticed at the time. Among the crowd of heartbroken mourners, there stood an unidentified man, a blonde man, with a strong jawline. The authorities' first real lead on a suspect comes from the staff of Helsinki Surgical Hospital, located about 25 kilometers southeast of Lake Bodom. On June 6th, the Monday after the murders, a distressed blonde man is brought into the ward. He's requested urgent assistance, though the doctors don't notice anything physically wrong with him. His shirt is stained red with what he claims is paint. This man, as it turns out,
Susie,
is already known to the
you
Finnish
got
police.
134 subs.
Yeah, I know.
Susie, you got 134 subs.
Yeah, it's growing slowly. Hopefully, if I start doing something different other than Fortnite, it'll pick up.
He's a 36-year-old German expatriate named Hans Osman. His background is shrouded in mystery due to his habit of lying and
Susie,
exaggerating his past.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Unsubstantiated claims
Susie,
Hans has made about himself
make sure to like and
include
subscribe.
that he was a Nazi guard at Auschwitz, was reassigned when he fell in love with a Jewish woman, and that he was recruited by the KGB after the war. In spite of his suspect backstory, Hans has an airtight alibi. He claims he was with a girlfriend in Helsinki at the time, and she and her family confirm this story. It would have been nearly impossible for him to drive all the way to Lake Bodom, commit a gruesome crime, and get back to Helsinki without them noticing. The authorities dismiss him as a suspect, confident that he's not the man they're looking for, and his red-stained clothes are never tested. Around this time, another suspect comes to their attention. It's a local named Carl Chillstrom. 50 years old, Carl owns the roadside stand that the 4 teens visited before heading to the lake. Though often day-to-day operations are handled by his wife and 12-year-old daughter, his wife had directly interacted with the victims on the day before the murder, while selling them soft drinks and beer. Carl is the reason there were so few campers by that side of the lake. He's known to be a temperamental alcoholic who treats the shore of Lake Bodom like it's his backyard. He's had numerous run-ins with campers and day trippers over the years,
Susie,
and has been known
when
to
you
throw
said
rocks
that
at
you
people.
sounded said CM don't be a crabbly bait be funny make jokes. Susie, when you said that you sounded said CM don't be a crabbly bait be funny make jokes.
cut the cords of tents, and even fire warning shots with his shotgun. He looks nothing like the blonde man in the police sketch, but otherwise he fits the perfect profile of someone who would have a violent outburst at noisy teens. On top of that, he lives just a mere 800 meters from the scene of the crime. However, he too has an alibi. Carl's wife claims that he was with her and their 2 children the entire night the murders took place, and Carl's 12-year-old daughter corroborates this story. No new leads turn up, and the case starts to grow cold.
Susie. Tips for streaming: always talk to your chat.
Yeah, I know,
Susie.
I know.
Tips for streaming: always talk to your chat.
Yeah, I know, but I want to let people enjoy the video as well. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'll interact as long as, you know, they're listening. As I know, you know.
I'm done spending an obscene amount of money on takeout every week. Done.
I'm getting back on track with Factor.
Crush never.
August 1969. 9 years after
Susie.
the murders by Lake
Tip
Bodom.
2: be talking a lot, nobody watch people say nothing.
Yeah, I'm
Susie.
not.
Tip 2: be talking a lot, nobody watch people say nothing.
Yeah, but whenever we're watching a video, I don't want to be talking through the whole video, you know? Some people are just trying to enjoy the video. It's not, you know what I mean? I don't want to mess up the video for people that are actually wanting, like, into the story. You see what I'm saying?
Carl Chillstrom is drunk again, as usual. He's made his house a living hell for his wife and 2 kids. At the tail end of his most recent binge, his daughter, now 21, has had enough. The 2 of them get into a heated argument, during which she threatens to call the police. Carl leaves the house to cool off and finds a neighbor who will lend a sympathetic ear. The 2 men spend the afternoon together, and their conversation eventually turns serious. Extremely serious. Carl confesses that something has been quietly eating away at him for years. That he, Carl Chillstrom, is the man
Susie.
responsible for the Lake
Tip
Bodom
3: stream
murders.
different games every day even if you don't have anything play on your Rubik's Cube. Susie. Tip 3: stream different games every day even if you don't have anything play on your Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
Through tears,
Hey,
Carl asks
will you hand me
what
that
he should
Rubik's
do.
Cube?
The neighbor,
It's right there.
alarmed by this confession, replies that there's
What?
nothing for Carl to do. He might as well just walk into the lake, because he has no future but jail if he confesses to the police. Carl falls silent for a long time, then finally asks for another drink. That evening, someone tells Carl's son that his father was seen swimming in the lake a little before 6 p.m. Alarmed, Carl's son borrows a boat, speeding to his father's swimming spot. But he can't find him out on the water anywhere. The family calls the local authorities.
Think I can do it?
Before long, Carl's body is found, 3 meters from where the murders took place. He's clothed, with a pair of wine bottles floating alongside him. At first, Carl's wife rushes to defend her dead husband, insisting that the neighbor must have misunderstood what Carl was saying. But in time, she changes her tune. After years of claiming that Carl spent the night of the murders with her, she ultimately admits that Carl had slept on the couch that night. She had been too afraid of her husband to not protect him. The press labeled Carl's death as a suicide, but this was never confirmed
Susie.
by police.
Tip 4: when you
For
start
their
a stream,
part,
always
they
make
remain
sure everything is
unconvinced
good, your
that
stream
Carl
is
is the
working and
killer.
having good details
The
and
confession
quality.
was only witnessed by
Susie.
one person.
Tip
and
4:
under
when you start a
unreliable
stream, always make
circumstances.
sure everything is good,
Both
your
men
stream is
were drunk,
working and having
and
good
there's
details
still
and
no
quality.
probable cause. Even though Carl was a drunk who did hate campers with a fire.
I feel like the details are doing pretty good. This time.
Very passion. There's a big difference between harassing people and violently killing them. For the second time in a decade, they dismiss the possibility that Carl Tillstrom is a killer. Meanwhile, the other long-dismissed Lake Bodom suspect, Hans Osman, actively cultivates a reputation as a Lake
Tip
Bodom
5.
boogeyman.
Follow the YouTube rules and be happy
He
and nice
eagerly
to
tells
everyone.
fanciful, unverifiable
Susie.
stories of his life
Tip 5.
to
Follow
true
the
crime
YouTube
magazines.
rules and be happy and nice to
He
everyone.
claims, among other things, that he was a member of the German SS during the Second World War and that he was later employed by the KGB. Though he never admits anything about Lake Bodom, it's clear that he enjoys the limelight. Finally, in 1997, at the age of 73, he invites a journalist to his deathbed. In a rambling interview, he alleges his own involvement in a number of unspecified crimes. The journalist assumes that Hans is referencing another unsolved double murder in the area from 1959, just a year before Lake Bodom. This case, in which two young campers were killed in their tent at night near a lake, bears undeniable similarities to the Lake Bodom case. However, when the journalist inquires directly about Lake Bodom, Hans
Susie.
doesn't confess.
Remember tip 4. You got to make sure everything is right. You
Ultimately,
can't have the
Hans
Fortnite
Osman
picture.
dies shortly
Susie.
thereafter, leaving
Remember
his
tip
true
4.
life
You got
story
to make sure everything is right.
clouded
You
by
can't have the
exaggeration.
Fortnite picture.
That is not a
For a
Fortnite
while,
picture.
it seemed like nothing new would ever happen to revive interest in Lake Bodom. Any hope at truth has been lost to time and crime scene mismanagement. The 90s roll into the early 2000s, and then, shockingly, there's a sudden development. Forensic science has advanced considerably since the 1960s, prompting re-examination of old evidence. This directs police to a new suspect, and it's one who's been hiding under their nose the entire time.
Janet! When's the last time you had a vegetable?
Yesterday, Tuesday, month.
Damn it, Janet! Meet Groons.
Damn it, that messed me up.
April 2004. Nils Gustafsson has lived a normal life for the past 45 years.
Crap.
Now in his early 60s, he's retired with a wife and
I
2
messed it
kids.
up. Shit.
The events of Lake Bodom seem so distant now, like they happened to another man in another life. That is, until he receives a visit from the police. They tell him that he's under arrest for the murder of Anya, Mila, and Seppo, and he's shot. There's no statute of limitations on murder,
Susie.
but Nils had moved on
It
from
looks
that
like a
traumatic
spider
period
dress
of
up
his
as a
life.
clown rooning to the
Or
toilet.
at least, so
Susie.
he thought.
It looks like a spider dress up
The
as a
blunders
clown
the
rooning
police
to the
made
toilet.
back in 1960 make it a particularly thorny case to relitigate. But one particular piece of evidence seems to have opened up new possibilities. The bloody shoes that belonged to Nils. The ones that were found over a kilometer away from the scene of the crime. A forensic analysis of the shoes determines that the blood came from Nils' murdered friends, but none of it is from Nils himself. The conclusion prosecutors draw from this is that the killer was wearing shoes when he attacked the tent, and the killer, by this reasoning, is Nils himself. The original description Nils gave of the attacker, that of the blonde man with the square jaw, is no longer considered relevant, as it was given under hypnosis. And so, Nils is held in jail for a year, preparing for his defense. While he waits, the case becomes a media sensation. Long dormant speculation about the murders splashes across tabloid headlines. It's now where they have a juicy new angle to explore in this case. The lurid story of a teen who murdered his girlfriend and got away with it for 45 years.
Susie. Too bad you don't have a Discord.
August 2005.
Too bad
The
you
trial
don't have a
begins.
Discord.
The prosecution
Yeah, too
paints a
paranoid.
damning story of what happened almost a half-century ago. They theorize that June 4th was a tense day by the lake. Nils had gotten drunk and became aggressive, fighting with his girlfriend Mila. It got so bad that he was exiled by the others from their shared tent. After midnight, Seppo attempted to calm him down. This was unsuccessful, sparking a fight between the two boys. Seppo had won this fight, explaining the blunt force trauma that Nils suffered to his jaw and skull. Seppo then returned to their tent, leaving the defeated Nils behind. Sometime after 4 a.m., when he was sure the others were asleep, Nils returned to the tent with a knife and a rock. He viciously stabbed and bludgeoned his friends to death, then made it look like a burglary. He took the keys for the motorcycles, Seppo's leather jacket, their wallets and watches, and got rid of them somewhere nearby, likely the lake. This explains why the motorcycle keys were missing, but
Susie,
the murderer did not use either vehicle for a quick getaway.
Susie,
Once
how
he
many
staged
kids
the
do you
scene,
have?
Nils got rid of his shoes and returned to the scene of the crime, where he laid down beside his dead girlfriend and waited for their bodies to be discovered. The injuries Nils had received earlier that evening at the hands of Seppo helped make it seem as if the killer had attacked him as well. The prosecution's case hangs on two key pieces of evidence. The shoes, which were likely worn by the murderer, and the state of the tent, which had been slashed to ribbons. Nils, who had been found lying on top of the tent, had only received wounds to his head. The prosecutor claims that he would have been severely cut as well if he had been inside alongside them. The other pieces of evidence are circumstantial. The state of the bodies implies things about the killer that the prosecution say can only be explained by their story. Of the three bodies, Mila's was left in the worst state. She was stabbed many times, even after she died, and her lower body was stripped naked. This, the prosecution says, shows us that Nils was furious at his girlfriend in particular. A random burglar would not target one of the two girls so brutally. Nils' lawyer does not account for the blood on the shoes, nor does she account for the awful state of Mila's body. But she does provide a stirring rebuttal to the allegation that her client is some sort of mastermind at staging a crime scene.
So what do you think so far? Do you like this Nexpo disturbing video stuff? Let me know.
If the prosecution is to be believed, then that means Nils committed a crime of passion out of blind rage, then arranged the scene meticulously to hide his horrible deeds. She implies that someone who has just murdered 3 people on violent impulse does not lie down and pretend to be unconscious beside his victims. Besides, there's a factor that the prosecution has completely overlooked: the severity of the injuries Nils received that same night. When he was picked up by police, Nils had a broken jaw and skull fractures. He was unable to speak due to his severe head injuries. Pictures of him at the hospital following the attack show his entire jaw bandaged and braced, and one of his eyes swollen shut. The prosecution's story alleges that these injuries came from a fight with Seppo sometime after 2 a.m. while Mila was writing her diary entry and Anya was probably already asleep. This means that Seppo hurt his friend badly enough that Nils couldn't even talk the following morning. Would a young man with head injuries this severe be able to overpower 3 people even if he surprised them? Would he have been able to walk half a mile away from the campsite to dispose of his
Susie,
incriminating shoes?
So do you want me get see videos we can watch after this message misspelled? Replay. Do you want me get scary videos we could watch?
They can impede clear thought,
Susie,
memory, motor
so do
functions.
you want me get see videos we can watch after this message misspelled? Replay. Do you want me get scary videos we could watch? Susie,
the version of
Susie,
I have to keep this video just this Nexpo stuff. I don't want to mix anything up.
Nils Gustafsson, that the prosecution has painted, is someone who was both severely injured and preternaturally controlled in his revenge. This picture of Nils, his attorney argues, does not square with the facts.
LOL, I watch it and that was crazy. Susie, LOL, I watch it and that was crazy.
Besides, there's always the fact that teenage Nils' hair was decidedly more brown than blonde. Nils, for his part, maintains that his own memory of the night in question is spotty, thanks to his head injuries. In the end, the jury finds Nils not guilty. He's released from custody and is allowed to return to his quiet life with his family. But even still, he's not done with his life in the spotlight. The last year has been a harrowing relitigation of the most traumatic event of his life. And so, Nils sues the Finnish government for unjustified imprisonment. The case is settled, and Nils walks away with the payment of nearly 45,000 euros.
Susie,
Nils' life
you can end stream after this and I can get the links in chat. Susie, you can end stream after this and I can get the links in chat.
Goes back to normal, and his innocence is never questioned again. So, who's responsible for the Lake Bodom murders? Was it Hans Osman, the unreliable attention seeker, who loved to imply that he knew more than he let on, even making many suspicious statements on his deathbed? Was it Carl Chillstrom, who was often violent towards campers at the lake he considered his property? Was it Nils Gustafsson, who committed a crime of passion that could never be proven in court? Or was it a random person, long since disappeared, somewhere in Finland? Curiously, another suspect came to light in the late 1960s, just a couple months before Carl took his own life. A man named Pentti Soininen, who hanged himself while in prison. For many years, he bragged to fellow inmates that he committed the Lake Bodom murders. He did indeed grow up near Lake Bodom, but otherwise his claims were given little credence by police. Soininen was only 14 or 15 years old at the time of the murders, and it seems unlikely he could have overpowered four people, two of whom were 18-year-old men.
Susie,
Though guilty,
What? Quad start mark. What? I don't know what that
of plenty of other crimes,
Question mark?
Soininen is considered innocent in the Lake Bodom murders. However, his alleged confession shows a chilling possibility. Perhaps the murderer's name was never known to police at all. The tall blonde man, supposedly on the shores that morning, and allegedly photographed among the crowd at the funeral in 1960, was never identified. Even if he was just a bystander who looked suspicious to passers-by, the real murderer could be just as anonymous. A nameless face in the crowd that helped trample evidence after the killing. And lest we forget, the murder weapon has, to this day, never been found. Wherever it lies, whether at the bottom of Lake Bodom,
Susie,
buried on its shores,
LOL,
or somewhere
Susie,
else entirely,
LOL,
even the midnight sun may never reach it.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Peace and love. Good day, mate.